And next up, we have Clément Lesaege from Claros, who will be talking about how to calculate the attack cost of different Oracle networks.
So hi everyone. So today we're going to speak about the cost of attacking Oracle networks. If the slide want to go. Oh. OK, so first let's go with a few definitions. You have the budget, is how much money or asset you need to have for your attack to be successful. Then you have the cost, which is how much you spend, how much you lose when you are doing this attack, and the reward, obviously, how much you earn as an attacker. So first, let's look at 51% attacks, which are the most interesting. And here we're going to focus on cryptoeconomic Oracle, so no multi-sig or stuff like that, but only Oracle systems. And if we want to make a cryptoeconomic Oracle, a basic idea, a naive idea, would be to say, hey, ask people to stake some native token on what is the correct answer. So here we can have this question, which is who won the US election, and people can stake, in this case, on Biden. And if no one tries to attack it, well, you're going to get Biden as a result. So now, how do you attack it? Well, you just need to have slightly more ETH than the honest parties. So what's the budget? So the budget is the amount of ETH which is used by the other honest participant. And the cost is 0 because you get back your ETH. Can we do, an example of this would be to use reality without an arbitrator. So there is a slight variation because in reality you need to at least double the bond. But basically if you use reality without an arbitrator, it's going to be whoever can put the highest amount of capital, which is going to be able to set up the result. So can we do slightly better? Yeah, we can have a protocol token staking. So that would be Claros would be an example of that. And in this case, people are to stake a protocol token. Here's some PNK. And if everything goes right, well, people are going to stake and vote for Biden. And if you want to attack it, you need to have more protocol tokens than what the honest parties have. So here we start to see some difference. Because in the first case, if you wanted to do a 50% attack in ETH, it would be pretty easy to get most of your ETH at the current price. Maybe you will affect the price a bit, but it's going to be negligible because most of the ETH are not used in your application. So you can buy ETH more or less at the current price. Now, if you have a specific token, you're going to run as an attacker quite fast into market depths. So the first PNK you're going to buy is going to be at the current price, but you're going to dry up the liquidity. And so as you try to buy more and more, it's going to cost you more and more. So this means that when you have a protocol token, you're going to have a higher budget to be able to buy all those protocol tokens as the price increases. Now about the cost. So previously with the ETH, doesn't really affect the value of ETH. Project gets broken all the time. It's not going to crash ETH. But now if you have a specific protocol token and someone managed to get enough token to attack it, well, the Oracle doesn't work anymore. People know the Oracle doesn't work anymore, so they stop using it. So you stop collecting fees. So there is no more value for your protocol token. So this crashed to close to 0. As an attacker, well, you own 51% of them. So you have a huge loss of capital. So that's the cost of attacking an Oracle network with a protocol token. In addition, on the recovery, if you are using ETH and someone managed to attack it, well, like the attacker controls the system. There is not much recovery if he's richer than you. Why not if you have a protocol token, you can fork it and make a new system where you copy everything except the attacker tokens, and you can restart it. It's still bad because all the applications which are currently pointing to the current Oracle will get exploited. So what's the budget here? Budget and cost will be pretty similar. The budget and cost are what it costs you to buy 51% of the stake tokens. And that's going to be at least 51% of the market cap. In practice, it's going to be way higher because of market depth. So system in this category, Augur, Claros final round. At first we start with a lower amount of juror, but what is securing Claros at the end of the day is when you appeal and you get a large amount of jurors, and in this case the votes are more or less representative of the stake PNK. Yuma, which is even more straightforward, where you just have everyone vote on everything. So these tend to be the most common model in making cryptoeconomic oracles. Now, looking about maybe the future, doesn't necessarily mean it's better, but it's things that do not exist yet, well, but are still interesting ideas, is the idea of restaking. So you have some native tokens, in this case ETH, and you could say, oh, well, let's try to make an oracle which is backed by staking of those native tokens. The first problem that you would have, and that you had in the first example, is that most people are not going to stake this ETH in your application because they can do other things with it, like running a validator. So if you were to ask people to stake in your application, you would have to compensate a very high cost of capital, something like 5%. How can you do something cheaper? Instead of asking to stake ETH, you ask to stake validators. Like a way to stake validators is restaking, such that your exit address is a smart contract, and then the smart contract can do some stuff, such as slashing you, and you can also count the vote of validators. And so now you have a system which is one validator, one vote. How do you attack that? Well, you need to get more validator participating, which are on your side and are being malicious, than the honest validators. So what is the budget? Well, the budget is a bit straightforward because you need to have more ETH stake and use in the system than other participants. That can be a very, very high budget. That's probably the method which is the best to increase the budget that attacks require because it doesn't cost much for a validator to also validate for your oracle. There is no opportunity cost. So you can have very high amount of ETH stake. And if someone trying to attack it, they may also run into market depth issues because the amount stake may be significant even at the ETH level. And it may even be impossible. I think it's probably currently impossible to get enough more stake ETH than there is currently in validators. Now let's look at the cost. So the cost is a more unknown. So if there is no expectation of validator to behave honestly, well, the cost is zero. You know, like you still have your validators, you have exploited an application, so your attack will succeed at no cost. But now we could say, oh, well, let's have some forking expectation. Let's fork if the validators are bad and malicious. And in this case, if you had the network level forking expectation, well, your cost would be the value of the ETH which are staked by other participants, because if you were to succeed in your attack, you will have a fork, and your ETH will not be used in the fork. In practice, that's probably something in between. It's probably non-zero because, you know, like I could see the headline, ETH validator shown to be malicious, attacking this particular application. So there will be some FUD, so you will have some loss of value of your ETH. But it's maybe not as high as if you had a fork happening. Also, the network may have some incentive in having a social consensus against forking, because one of the big risks is to fork over something which is a legitimate disagreement. So here in this room, we are in Europe, so probably most people know that Biden won the election. But if we had asked this question in the US just after the vote, you would probably have had 25 to 40% of the people which would have said that Trump won the election. So in this case, you could end up having like a Biden chain and a Trump chain, and that is not good for the network. Like ETH in general, you don't want much fork. We had the fork with ETC, and that's why like leaders of Ethereum, such as Vitalik Buterin, are quite strongly opposed to forking expectation and wrote this "Don't Overload Ethereum Consensus" article, arguing against that. And why we may not have a forking expectation, because it generally assumes that validator goals are to optimize profits, not necessarily rule on Oracle questions or provide other services to the network. They may take bribes, and we have precedent with MEV, where it's commonly accepted for that validator can accept some bribes to order transaction in a particular order, even if it's harming some participants, such as sandwiching attack indexes. So probably not zero, probably not the maximum, but probably something in the middle. And we don't have any system which is currently live there, but you have Eigenlayer on testnet, which is working in this direction. Now on bribery, if you can't get the capital, maybe your way to attack it is to pay people having the capital. First thing to say is that, in general, most users tend not to be malicious. So most people, when you try to propose them bribes, they will tend not to accept those. At least when they are straight up, hey, I give you this money, and you falsify the result of your vote. If you want people to accept your bribe, you need to give them on average more than if they had an honest behavior. So for that, you need to compensate for what system rewards they expect to get if they behave honestly. You need to compensate also for the cost if the attack is successful. So this is particularly relevant in stuff like protocol tokens, where the cost of a successful attack is high for token holders, but this will be way lower in something like a risk-taking mechanism when there is no expectation of honesty at the protocol level. For bribes, in practice, you don't really want to tell people, hey, vote this way, I'm going to pay you. The best bribe is a bribe where people don't know that they are taking a bribe. And how do you do that? Well, you can borrow assets. You can go on stuff like Compound, Aave, and you can borrow assets and use them to vote. That's something which actually did happen, fortunately, by a white hat to attack Maker. Or you can bribe them by giving them some services, such that, hey, here is my protocol, come and put your ETH in my validator, and I'm going to validate for you. So that's the cost of convenience. And you can even give some subsidies by giving them some native token of your risk-taking protocol in order to get market share and be able to get your attack. In practice, you probably won't manage to have only one actor to make this attack. You probably need some collusion between different staking services and borrowing capital on the side to manage to get those attacks. And here, people may not ask as much for bribes because they don't even know that they are actually taking a bribe by lending and using staking services. The last element of the equation are rewards. So how much do you earn when your attack succeeds? So for each application which is using your Oracle, you have to look at how much you can extract at maximum minus the logistic costs. So if you have a lot of application, yeah, you have a bit more logistic cost, but the reward tend to increase almost linearly in terms of the value which is at stake in application using your system. So if you have one app with $1 million, one app with $5 million, that's like $15 million of extractable value minus a very small amount of logistic cost. So can we do something interesting with that? Well, some projects have tried. We have Augur, where they try to make sure that the rewards are lower than the cost. So for that, they put a lower bound on the cost, which there was 51% of the market cap. But if you want, you could have maybe nicer estimate because you have market depth. And so you target a ratio of TVL out of market cap. And if your TVL out of market cap is too high, what you do? Well, you increase the fees. That lowers the TVL. You are more expensive. Less people are going to use you. And you get more fees, so more value for the token holder, so higher token price. And this looks like working very nice in theory. However, you have some issue with parasitic use death spiral. Because when you're an Oracle, you can't force people to pay you to use the Oracle. Sure, you can make your function to be something private or make a require that only people paying can access your result. But you can always make some state proof. So you can always use an oracle without paying. And then you can end up into this death spiral where you have a low ratio of TVL out of market cap. So you increase the fees. So because the fees are higher, people have more incentives into using your oracle in a parasitic manner, so not paying any fees, so you get lower revenue, so you get lower market cap, so the system so the system has a lower ratio, so the system increases the fees, and you get into this death spiral where your market cap start to crash with your fee increasing and everyone using your oracle in a parasitic manner, and now it starts to become pretty easy to attack your system. So that's why I don't advise for trying to ensure this kind of ratio. So that was a brief overview of different past, current, and future economic model of attacks in Oracle networks. As you've seen, there is no perfect answer. You have some balance between systems with higher cost and systems with higher budget. And yeah, we are going to the 4 minutes of questions.